focused on 6G at sustainable places. So as you know, this event is a bit more on the construction built environment, but there are plenty of potential connections with the wireless networks field, like in smart buildings, etc. So those are things that we, in fact, already discussed last year in the first edition of this workshop. And so many of the projects that you see there were present for the first edition, but this year we are really glad to have two newcomers, 6G versus and sustained 6G are there as well. And I think they are part of the next call of SNS JU. And it will be great to hear from these new projects. And perhaps just to mention, we had Centric as well, represented by Francesco, but at the end of the day, he was not able to make it. But anyway, we keep the logo on the banner. And that's our agenda for today. So it's more like a working session together. And of course, the aim will be to see, to discuss how sustainability is addressed by all these projects. Well, having in mind that for some of them, sustainability is not the central focus, but sometimes it's just a use case or something like that. But in this workshop, of course, we want to focus on this aspect. So that's the proposed agenda that we share together. The idea is to have a short pitch by each project. And of course, you can focus on the main achievements. And then we'll have some time for discussion. So we have a bit more than 1 hour to discuss together and perhaps to decide on some actions to collaborate after this workshop. And yes, I wanted to show this picture from last year. So that was the first edition of the workshop. We were in Luxembourg last year, and perhaps you saw, if you were there yesterday at the opening, we will be back to Luxembourg, the exact same place next year, which is quite easy for if your project officer wants to attend, etc. So it's easier than we are. And also last year, so for those of you who were there, the conference has this partnership with Open Research Europe. That's the platform of the European Commission to publish scientific papers. And so what we did last year was this open letter. So it's quite a short, very short format of publication in which we simply explain what was the aim of our workshop and some key messages that we wanted to pass. So in this type of publication, it's not about, we don't introduce new research, it's more like a joint statement that we do together. And those were the key conclusions we had in this open letter. So it was kind of a long process to get that published, but at the end we did it just a few weeks ago. I think we got it finally accepted because there is a bit long review process, and for me it was the first time experiencing that. But at the end of the day, we made it. So we have it online, it's open access, and perhaps after this workshop of today, I don't know, we may decide to do another one. So let's see. Voilà, so then today we have 7 projects. So thanks again for joining. And that's the agenda I suggested. We start with the new project. And so the first one will be with you, Sana, and it's called 6G versus. And so just to mention, we have Sebastian who is joining us, but he's on the way.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Sanna Tomila from the University of Oulu, Finland, and thank you, Regis, for organizing this opportunity to discuss and introduce our project. We started in January, and 6G versus. Initially, our name was Sustain 6G. That was by coincidence exactly the same as the other project. That was the Lighthouse project, so we had to change our name. And we chose 6G versus that comes from vertical trials for sustainability. So I'm the coordinator. Our technical manager is from ICCS Greece, Xenophon Basilikos. And we have 34 partners, so more the merrier in some cases. And we don't have great achievements to present yet, because this is the, well, 9 months are behind, and it hasn't been as bad as I expected. We are proceeding well. One motive to have so many partners is that we have NGOs and SMEs in our clusters. We have 6 clusters for our pilots, and I will present those briefly. These are our high-level objectives. So we have a kind of architectural solution with an app triplet. There's an N-app, network application, then there is AI app and V-app, vertical app application. And those should enable seamless communication from end to end. Then we have these trials to assess AI and network performance KPIs to assess how the sustainable 6G operates in real life. We have test beds that are 4 of them from 6G Sandbox, 1 from 6G Bricks, and 1 is tested in Bulgaria that has already been built, but not even from SNS projects. Then, of course, sustainability assessment, all 3 pillars. It's really, we are trying to make it a cross-cutting theme in all our VPs and tasks and our pilots. And then, of course, dissemination and for example, we will organize for 6G workshops for SMEs to introduce how to apply 6G technologies in real life. And we have these pilots, 6 pilots, and these are real life sustainability use cases for 5 verticals. In Finland, we will build an energy off-grid, energy self-sustainable base station for Arctic remote conditions. In Bulgaria, also energy-related, they have a pilot integrating wind power plants to the grid and for special events balancing the grid. And communication is then done with 6G. In France, we have a pilot for water management in Marseille, and in Portugal, in Aveiro port, we have a pilot for safe and secure port logistics. And in Spain, we have a real farm where there will be monitoring and remote control and operations on that farm, and it might be that next year in EU CNC there will be visits to visit that farm and see the pilot in real life. And in Greece we have collaborative robotics for search and rescue in wildfire cases. So these are our pilots, and well, I will not go into detail for the reference architecture that has been adapted to all pilots, but I will be happy to discuss more about for example, about our pilots that are developed together with vertical representatives. So in each pilot location, we have a cluster, and there are companies or NGOs that also participate to design and assessment of the application of 6G technologies. Just some highlights about our work, that we are now in the process of defining, well, the KPIs are quite well defined already, and in each cluster, at least 3 of them must be sustainable related. Usually they are about energy efficiency and reducing the use of energy, but also life cycle assessment. And KPIs that we are now working on and having rounds and rounds of workshops with each cluster. That is really a new thing for many and challenging but very interesting process as well. So we have each cluster working with our BP6 people and discussing about values and to whom this particular thing is important. And then we will have interviews and questionnaires with stakeholders once we have trials, these showcase trials with them. We will start next summer before the midterm review. And as I said, verticals are really integrated into our work, and they provide us the use cases and problems, and then the design is done together, and execution and assessment afterwards. Energy efficiency, of course, is one key to reduce the use of energy, especially because we have AI also in each pilot. So we try to use the AI to minimize the use of energy and optimize the network service. And impact is hidden a bit there. But, very strong stakeholder involvement that we are now planning. We will have our deliverable for trial plans and KPI framework out in the end of this month. And we have planned also who other stakeholders we will invite and at which phase and what we will show for them and how we will collect and publish the information. And I tried to be very quick, but if you have any questions now or later.
Yeah. So that's a stream project that we have real trials.
Yeah.
I'm also involved in a project called TrialsNet, and looks like we were in this situation of defining key value and KPI almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Now we are at the end of the project. So and we look a lot into societal key value, economical, and so on. We are going to publish the last deliverable just in a few months. I think our deliverable, our work might be useful to
I'm sure it will be.
because we are collecting real data, real key value indicator from real user, from real trials, and then we're doing analysis. So we have defined the framework. If you need any help.
Yes, great. Thank you. We will use all the help that and experiences.
I was a task leader of the key value indicator in the project, so I'm very close with this process.
Yes, very good. Thanks. I will.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, I was curious on your pilot in France, because it's close to where I am based. So can you tell us more what we do there?
Yeah. In France we have Green Citizen. That is the company for water management, and then we have Thales and Eurocom and there's someone else. Anyway, they have. I think it was Eurocom that has the test bed, and Green Citizen is the kind of vertical representative there, and they are planning a system to avoid flooding when it's raining a lot, and instead using the water to hydrate the plants in the city.
You say in Marseille?
Marseille. Yeah. If you want contacts, I can.
Yeah, I would be interested. Yeah. And which type of critical infrastructure are you looking at? Specifically, because I see that's in the title of the demo site.
Well, it's the city sewage infrastructure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
we'll move to the second presentation. So sustain 6G. So you managed to keep your acronym, then I understand.
Yes. Sorry.
You were funded at the same on the same level, or
Yeah, we started the same
That was
day,
the
so-
Lighthouse project, and we have Stream D, but
so it's not okay.
Yeah.
And how did you decide which one stay with the
well,
sustainability
SNS,
project?
because that is the Lighthouse project, so
Okay.
it was kind of justified
SNS
that
made the
it's called
choice, and
Sustain
they told
6G.
you have to change. Okay.
Like to make this disappear.
Yeah.
Lo nascondi.
Sì, non riesco a...
Lei due mouse.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I really wanted to say it for the pictures, maybe.
Hi everyone. I'm Hassan, a wireless consultant at Real Wireless Consultancy Company in the UK. I'm also a visiting professor at Sheffield University in the UK. So today I'm going to present Sustain 6G. Apologies if I didn't know that we had a clash with another project about the name. So we won. Okay, apologies for that. I'll try to be very quick today. So the project started as 6G versus in January this year. We are still doing the first year of the project, and the project will last 2.5 years. We have 24 partners involved in the project. We have many telecom operator. We have academia. We have verticals. There is a lot of connection between 6G and verticals, and we have SME. The total funding is 13 million euro. Okay, so what's the motivation of the project, and why we are doing this? So first of all, we want to define what is sustainability. So that's one of the main motivation. It looks like an easy question, but the answer is not that simple. I understand the previous speaker talked about defining value and key value. This is a challenge. The definition of sustainability, it's not straightforward, specifically for engineers. So engineers working in 5G, 4G, and 6G are used to different type of work. That's probably the first time that we really need to deal with societal value and sustainability and economic sustainability and so on. So definition of what sustainability is, and for the technology sector is it's very crucial. Now, what's the connection between 6G and the verticals? So although the telecom sector has been away, or not always, probably not, when the vertical sector were not very close to the wireless sector. So how we can make these two sectors talk to each other, and how sustainability can benefit the vertical sector, how sustainability can be implemented. So how to implement sustainability across several verticals. If we are dealing with many verticals, how we can implement it. And the most important question is how we can quantify it, how we quantify sustainability. So, and this we go again to the challenge of the key value indicator. So it's basically quantifying a value, how we quantify it, how we can demonstrate that we had progress. Usually with technical KPI in the wireless sector, whoever is engineer here, you can understand the KPI is very easy to demonstrate that we have a better KPI, better throughput, better latency. However, when we go to sustainability value, how we can quantify that, and how long does it take to quantify that? So that's very challenging question. And most importantly, what are the enablers for those 6G sustainability? So how we can enable 6G sustainable? And the last question is, what's the role of the standardization and regulation in all this? So how they can impact positively all this progress? Okay, if you have a question, I'm happy to. Okay, I don't have many slides. I still have a couple of them. So, okay, so we have 6 dimensions of sustainability. Usually, we talk about 3 dimensions: societal, economical, and environmental sustainability. Now, why we have 6 in this case? Reason is we are looking at both sides. We are looking and sustainable 6G. So we want the technology itself, 6G, to be sustainable. And we want as well how 6G can impact the verticals in terms of sustainability. So that's the reason we have six sustainability dimensions. So basically the first part of this is how 6G can be sustainable in terms of economic. So how we could have a good business case. How we could have 6G could have a business, a good societal impact and environment, and could be sustainable in terms of the environmental impact, lower the footprint. Okay, so for example, and this one is how 6G could make sustainable other verticals. Okay, in terms again, economic, societal, and environmental. So we're looking at both sides in sustain 6G. Now, what are the objectives of the project? Basically, we want, as I said, we want to identify, understand what sustainability is. That's the first question, and that's what we're still doing in the project at the moment. Is sustainability could mean different things for different stakeholders, and different people may have a different understanding of sustainability. Okay, and one sustainability value could be very, very important to a stakeholder and could be less important to another stakeholder. So putting all these verticals together with a telecom engineer and so on is and have a unique, hopefully a unique sustainability definition is important. So that's step number one. Then we need to define the methodology for sustainable definition and assessment. So what the methodologies are. And third step is how we can integrate the vertical and enable those technology. Step number 4 is enhance 6G technology to increase handprint and reduce footprint. So for example, reduce footprint, how we could reduce CO2. And step number 5, how we could really demonstrate this and validate it. So what methodology or framework we could establish in the project to be able to demonstrate that this has a value, has a real value. Okay. And the last step is what impact this work would have, okay, and what are future strategic roadmap. Okay, so that's it. That's the last slide. Thank you very much. If you have any question, happy to help, if I can.
Thank you very much. Perhaps you mentioned, so you are cross-vertical, right, in Sustain 6G, and which type of vertical do you address?
Well, we have for example, some CMS, some company working in the grid. So we have the grid vertical. We have something about.
You mean the energy grid?
Yeah, energy grid.
Okay,
that's correct. Energy grid. So we have the energy sector. We have as well. We have other sectors like the cultivation sector. Yeah, and so on. So we have several verticals in the project.
Okay. Yeah. So it's quite different from the. Because I know this year the SNS JU Stream D. You are Stream D as well, right?
Nothing. We are not high. Usually Stream D are high TRL when we have real tiles. We are not. Yeah. We are not that high TRL.
Okay. Stream B.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, sustainability lighthouse. So it's quite different. Okay.
So definitely not Stream D.
Yeah. About KA value for both, because it's a very interesting topic. Do you use a consolidated scientific approach or innovative at the moment to study this kind of tool to understand the sustainability of?
So what do you mean by standard scientific approach?
Consolidated scientific approach, because I want to say that is already developed, already studied in literature, or you propose a new approach, a new methodology on
well, the issue here is
to define the key value for.
Are there any? There are many standard approaches in the industry? That's the main question. So I'm not sure. I don't think there are many approaches, existing approaches. So and that's the challenge. The challenge here. There are some framework that we have done in TilesNet, and there are some certain approach, but I don't think there is kind of standard way of doing this yet. It is just as far as I know.
Yeah, we just last week in a meeting decided that we will, because we have very different pilots, which have very different value indicators as well.
Yes, this is, I think, that the very issue of
So we decided last week that we will now, on BP6, will now create a framework of kind of root KPIs, and then we have a specific KPIs for each pilot.
Okay.
In addition to that.
So you mean a specific framework for each pilot?
Yes, yeah, we have a kind of root KPIs that are common to most, if not all, pilots, and then there are very pilot-specific ones because it's impossible. They are so different verticals and different use cases. But,
different interest.
Yeah, but I want to comment that what you said about engineers, and it's really on workshops we have had many rounds with each cluster, and it is so many times the values are just rephrased KPIs.
Okay.
So yeah, so but, I think we are getting there.
Well, that's the engineer's problem.
Yeah.
So
yes, this is a very, you're right, a very good point, because yes, KPI is for engineer easy to understand.
We love
Key
measure and
yes.
It's not something that we like.
Key value became a challenge.
Yeah, but I'm engineer as by the way, so. Okay, any more?
I see you have EDF. I see the
Yes.
consortium, so that's your grid operator.
Yeah, we have EDF, we have Siemens. So these are on the grid.
The grid side. Yeah.
Yes.
And can you tell a bit more? What are you trying to optimize with 6G and
Yeah.
the grid?
Frankly, I'm not involved yet in with this vertical yet. I'm not 100% involved. So if you have any specific question, I can.
We can forward
to
because in this conference, as you know, it's all about there are a lot of projects involved in EDF and their competitors, and it's all about data-driven energy decisions. So I would be curious to understand the added value of 6G for their context.
Sure.
Very nice. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
For the presentation.
Thanks.
And next will be our coordination support action, which was.
Hello.
Good
morning. Nice
to
see all of you. So welcome to this workshop.
Here we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello everyone, so I'm Flavia and we're going to talk about 6G for Society. So this project was also present at the same session last year. It started in January last year, so now we're close to an end. It would end in December of this year, so we just have the last few months. The objective of 6G for Society is to work to ensure that societal, environmental, and economic values are embedded into the development of technology, bringing a sustainability, but especially a sociological element to technology development. So, yeah, something a little bit different that really brings the human aspect to everything related to 6G development. Yes, we are 6 partners, so it's a small CSA. Some of those partners are in common with some of the projects of today. And in terms of the planned outputs that you can expect towards the end of the project, so in the last few months, we will have a summary of stakeholders' positions, so how the public perceives 6G, and we will give advice and suggestions to both technology providers and policymakers. We are also working on a technology acceptance model, or now we switch towards the terminology of social acceptance model of technology. There is also a large work related to that, to the KPIs as well. And then finally, we will deliver an explanatory material, set of material for non-experts. So yeah, there are a lot of different outputs, but for today's presentation, we thought of focusing on an element that is related really to the people element and the societal aspect. So the information package for non-experts, the objective was really to find a way to communicate with the public about 6G in a way that relates to them. So really a focus on use cases and explaining 6G in a way that is easily understandable by everybody and focusing on how that impacts their lives. So how does 6G affect me? How does it affect the way that I learn, the way that I live in cities, the way that I relate to technology when it comes to accessibility? So really just a lot of different elements. And we also have developed an animated video about what is 6G, really just to help and create this bridge and avoid that we repeat the same mistakes that were made with 5G, where the communication between the public and technology was really not there. We really want to make sure that people feel included in the development of the technology. So that's why we started with understanding the context of the communication surrounding 5G. We saw during our research that a lot of the words that were used were related to productivity, low latency, social transformation, new world, everything, lots of really big, great transformations and big promises. So this is where we were starting with our 6G development. So when we started to relate with the public, it was really important for us that our communication was really unbiased and free of judgment, and really put ourselves in a position of listening to what the people were saying, what were their fears, their hope, their questions, when it came to this new technology. And so we ran a bunch of different workshops with different target audiences, smaller group, bigger groups, young, older, different countries, really wanting to hear and understand, what people were saying about technology. And another one of our tools was the citizen survey, which is still ongoing. We now have collected over 1,300 responses. We have developed this survey really with the idea of being unbiased, not wanting to guide any sort of answer or response, but just really trying to gather a raw answer. Of course, that's not possible to be super 100% unbiased, but we tried our best. We have it also in different languages, also to make sure that we can reach as many people as possible. I have just a couple of slides to show you some of what we thought were the more interesting insights. But of course, there are so many, but given the amount of time that we have today. So one thing that we looked at were the age variations. So how different age groups relate to 5G technology. Some of the results were surprising, some were less surprising. For example, we saw the younger groups are more aware of the social environmental aspects of technology. That is probably not as surprising. But we also had, here you can see on the right, some of the conversations, some extracts that we had from different conversations, or also from the open-ended questions that we had on the survey, where people really wonder about what is the practical effect of the technology. Also, an interesting highlight is that the main issue driving industry development when it comes to 6G for most of the people across all age groups is related to the respect for the ecosystem and climate change. So we saw this across all different age groups, that this was really the main element that everyone wanted to see. And we saw the same when it comes to access to connectivity, solidarity, and inclusivity. Another interesting common trend that we saw was asking why. So general citizens are asking, do we even need 6G? 5G is already there, and some feel that the promises that were given with 5G maybe were not met. Some are asking, is it worth all the extra energy consumption just to have a faster video game, something like that. So we have here collected a few of the impressions, but it's interesting to see that above all, the question is, why do we need it? So this creates an interesting point of view for us to understand how we relate to the people that we want to communicate to, and perhaps we're wanting to switch the question towards, can we build 6G towards, should we build 6G, and who are we building 6G for? And I think this comes again to the question of engineers. versus regular people. Here is just some lessons learned that we hope that can help also future projects since CG for Society is ending. When communicating about 6G with the public, it's a topic that comes with baggage, basically. It's not a topic that we can treat like it's any other technology, because 5G had such an imprint to society. So something very basic like the language that we use. Of course, our project is called 6G for Society, so when we started, we were talking about 6G, only to realize that no one knows what is 6G. So we started using maybe more the word 5G, but we also started using a lot of different synonyms like next generation connectivity, future communication networks, all different languages that we can see can better relate to the population depending on who we're talking to. Also really important to be unbiased and to be, as I said earlier, in a position of listening and judgment-free, even if people are scared, maybe for reasons that we as experts think that doesn't make sense. It's really important to validate the fears and the feelings of the people that we listen to, because when they feel listened to, they feel more involved, and then they're more likely to accept the technology. And also, lastly, very important to use practical use cases and application areas to the daily life. So last slide is how we will use the results that we have collected from the public engagement. So we have collected a large number of insights. You will see a deliverable that we have due at the end of this year, public perception of 6G, where we will give a large overview of all the insights as well as advice to stakeholders, as I said, both technology providers and policymakers. We will identify through also this deliverable the gaps in public understanding. So see, this is what we're communicating, this is where people are, this is what people are understanding, how do we fill that gap? And also we will share best practices on how to communicate with the public about 6G. So yes, I think this is it. Thank you. There are questions. Thank you very much.
First of all, very interesting presentation. I was aware of your activities, but not so much into detail. So some things make total sense, like trying to convince people, give a better understanding of upcoming 6G, which is something that we totally failed with 5G, in my opinion. One thing that surprised me is that if you don't call it 6G and you call some other ways, it's more appealing, which was a little bit surprising. I have a specific question on use cases, because in one of the slides I saw a percentage about health, for example. I think it was like 11 maybe. Go back. Yes. The 6G in daily life. Do you have this kind of breakdown per use case? Not precisely in
Yes.
in general. Okay.
Yes.
Which are considered the more.
Yes, we do. So in daily life, we see that for the younger population is connections with loved ones, and then a bit later it goes to public services. So both in the workshop that we ran and in our survey, we had a question basically related to use cases. We didn't call it use cases because for communication, but yes, and I think this is really interesting. We will have a more specific breakdown for that, but this is more or less what we saw. Yeah.
Okay. And the last slide you presented, the resources, they are open resources.
Yes.
Publicly.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Just a question about the people that you talk to. You mentioned you talked to like one or had survey with 1,500 people. What is the background of those people? Do they belong to a specific country? Do you have more information about this?
Yes, I did have a slide which I hid just for space reasons, but maybe I can just put it on. It's okay, I cannot do that. Maybe a little bit this one. There was another one. But yes, this is a good question. The public that we interacted with is a little bit of a limitation For the in-person ones, it's of course people that we were able to interact with that were already even a little bit interested in learning a little bit more. And when it came to the survey, we really tried as much as possible to have people from all different type of backgrounds. We tried not to survey too much people with a technical background, for example, but we do have a small limitation where a large component of our surveyed answers are people with higher education. So I think there is no one that doesn't have at least a bachelor degree. So this is important because, of course, it's it's a limitation to the type of answer, the type of interaction, the type of interest that they have to technology. In terms of country, it is, I would say, quite distributed across Europe. Also, age-wise, we are trying now to reach a little bit more the older demographic. Yes.
And do you have a deliverable that talk about all these results?
Yes, it will be also the last one.
The last one.
Yes.
In December.
Exactly. Yes. We're now working on it. Yes.
And perhaps, how did you manage to reach out to the citizens? Did
Yes.
you use like a local newspaper? Or
Yeah,
circulator
actually,
survey?
we try to use as many things as possible.
Yeah.
We did different workshops in person. We did actually put an ad on a newspaper,
Yeah, okay.
on a local newspaper in Puglia, which is in Italy,
Yeah.
because I happen to have a car. And actually that proved to be really not productive because the newspaper was the aim to reach a bit of an older demographic. Like it was like a big newspaper, and we didn't actually receive many answers from that. So there was also a learning to see that that doesn't work.
So what was the more efficient then? Social media?
Social media. So we tried a new channel, Instagram, which is probably not super common for a project. Exactly. But it was to reach a younger demographic, and Facebook to reach an older demographic through Facebook groups. So both the two channels that we usually don't use. I think most projects focus a bit more on LinkedIn. And for in-person, we went to public libraries, to public schools, to cafes. So yeah, places where we thought we could reach different people.
Did you put some prize for?
So we did a little bit. We had to have a bit of an incentive, even though we tried to make, especially the survey, it's I think 8 minutes to complete. It's not too bad, but still, people don't love filling out surveys, So we gave a little bit some bags that we have actually, and it was really important to incentivize and showcase. If you fill out this survey, you are actually helping future technology provider and policymakers to make technology and policies that will serve you. So it was really important to make them understand it will help you in the future. But it wasn't easy for sure.
Just one last question about the survey. These survey were done one-to-one, and do you think whoever responding to the survey did really understand the question?
That's a good question. So we did 2 waves of the survey because we found that we get a lot of feedback after the first one. In the first one, I think we got maybe 400 responses, and we got some feedback, and some people were like, it's too complicated, I don't get it. I also had my parents feel it, they were like, I don't understand the question, So even though we put a lot of trials, still it wasn't. So indeed, we did a second wave. We took a lot of the figure, we simplified a lot, and we think that now it should be quite understandable, but yeah.
Okay. Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
You very much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
And you know that perhaps the audience of this event is also a good audience for your survey, in fact. Because yesterday at the break,
You're right, true.
I discussing with a colleague who is not at all in this sector. And he started to ask the exact same things that you had on your slide. And I say, oh no, CG, come on, why there?
Yeah, exactly.
And why is it useful for us? All those questions. And even though those people attending this event are, as you said, also sometimes ICT engineers, etc., but there is a lot to do to convince, make people familiar, and also on the use cases. Because he was referring immediately to his kids. Well, but they already have. But why? Why do we need that?
Yeah, but that's the most interesting audience. I mean, all these, even these scientific fairs, where you meet kids, people from, that are not necessarily experts there. I think they still did not understand what is 5G, and on your side you come with 6G. So for them it's like crazy, when you talk about connected mobility or whatever. I mean, it's like thousands of years.
Yeah, that's so true.
And you mentioned your project is going to finish. Is there a follow-up then, or this year?
So Sustain 6G is kind of the follow-up of CG for Society a little bit. Yeah, but we're not in there, unfortunately. But some of our partners are. Yeah.
The responsibilities of
exactly. Margot is from CG for Society.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said so it can be replicated easily. I mean, so the questionnaires, the methodology, everything is like public.
It's public for sure. Yeah.
Because I know when our government in Luxembourg, well, it's quite a small country, but they were interested by these aspects. So I guess governmental entities are usually
absolutely.
concerned.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much again. And now we are moving to 16.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. For those that don't know me yet, my name is Chiara Lombardo. I'm a researcher at the University of JU and Horizon, and I'm the technical coordinator of the 6 Green project, which is also supposed to finish in this end of December, but we asked for a 4-month extension, so fingers crossed we may have time to make things a little bit better. I already presented 6 Green last year in the first edition of the workshop, so I'll go through it very quickly. The project was founded especially to focus on a beyond 5G core network. So the 6 in the name 6 Green is a little bit optimistic because we're still dealing with the extension of a 5G core. But the idea is to extend it in a way that can boost the sustainability of the whole ecosystem. So not only making networks more sustainable, but endorsing sustainability, for example, of different vertical sectors. The way we try to do this is to, on the one hand, circulate information related to their consumption ascribable to their deployments. Because of course, if you're instantiating your applications into virtual machines, containers that rely on a physical component, on a physical server, who is consuming energy is the server. So the infrastructure provider is the one that pays the bill. But the actual consumption is due to the way those virtual instances are designed, are instantiated, are used, and so on. So on the one hand, we provide the information on the consumption that they are causing. And on the other hand, we provide economic incentives through green business models to endorse more sustainable behaviors. Last year, I spoke especially on the business part of this loop. So now I'm just taking a step back and talk about what we named the observability framework, which is a cross-domain solution that starts from the IDAP, which is an infrastructure data analytics function, and moving to two standard 5G functions that we have extended, so the management data analytics function and the networks data analytics function. What we do is starting from the infrastructure, collecting infrastructure related metrics. So that can be the actual power consumption from a PDU, the consumption of the individual operating system, of the containers, of the virtual machines, and so on. With this information collected at infrastructure level, we then make elaborations that allow to estimate the current and make also forecasts on the near future consumption on a per network function or per slice basis, or per application, of course. So I can tell you your application instantiated is consuming this much. The slice that is serving this application is consuming that much. And of course, in the scope of the business model, there are suggestions on how to reduce this footprint. And finally, the NWDAF takes this data that is elaborated from the infrastructure level and combines information that come from the network. So, for example, information regarding the number of UEs connected to a slice, the data rate, this kind of information. So a combination of infrastructure layer and network platform layer combined and delivered associated with a business model that incentivizes you economically to get you there. Again, since I already described 6 Green and this is a panel, I wanted to provide some food for thought, so potential points for further discussions. Since we focused so much on the core network, we have some highlights and some information that we have learned at this point of the project. So we know that if you look at all the statistics, all the data, the measurements that have been done so far, at the moment, we consider the access network the most power-hungry component in the ecosystem. The core is currently consuming less than the access, but on the one hand, this consumption is not negligible. We're talking about a 25-30% against the 50%, and of course other components in the percentage. Within the core network, the network function that is responsible for the highest consumption is the user plane function. But again, this might not be the case in the near future because moving on, especially towards 6G, we know that one of the keywords is artificial intelligence. It's actually 2 words, not 1. For this reason, the addition of more intelligence within the control plane functions may cause a rise that won't make this statement still true in the near future. And of course, when we talk about core network, we talk about AI, we talk about consumption ascribable to data centers, because again, the way that these virtualized network functions are instantiated mean that they will require more and more server space, data centers, and as a result, if you include the number of users, that will increase the type of services and the use cases that will be more consuming in terms of resources and traffic generated. And of course, as I was saying, if you think that AI will play a role in the control and management of such networks and slices, we can foresee that the consumption ascribable to data centers is going to rise in a way that is probably not completely predictable at this moment. So there are 2 roads, at least, that we can think about that are not exclusive at all. That is, of course, the enhancement of the design of the network functions themselves and their execution environments, and an enhanced use of hardware resources, but to make it smart, in the sense that we know that if you try to make some purchases for your laboratories, you know that GPUs, for example, are very rare at the moment because the demand is very, very high, as they play exactly a key role in the in carrying out artificial intelligence within data centers. But since we've been involved, us very old researchers, in this kind of research on fixed networks for many years, and the mechanisms of the hardware components more or less stay the same, we know that those components are efficient, so to say, from the energetic standpoint, only when they're used at their full power, because it takes a lot of energy to power them up, and of course they consume a lot. But they prove to be more efficient at the end of the day than a virtualized counterpart when they're used to their full potential. So if you're not processing a lot of data, it doesn't make sense to turn on these kind of devices. So these are just some aspects that need absolutely to be taken into account the moment you rely on hardware accelerators or these kind of resources. So these are just some of the roads that we have explored throughout the project and that we are finalizing in our final days. I think this is my last slide. Yes, so thank you very much for your attention. Yes?
No, I don't.
Okay, no question.
Okay, so maybe one question on my side. So the 2 roads, the hardware resources, I mean, it's quite clear. So for the first one, what kind of solutions do you have in mind? Like maybe
It's not
distributing them a
something-
bit more? Or,
Yeah, it's just a matter of making sure, for example, that for example, one of the network functions that we're introducing that are brand new, that are not part of the 3GPP standard, is based on artificial intelligence for making some planning of the deployment of a slice. So it's a little bit counterintuitive to use something that consumes a lot of energy to calculate how to save energy. So that's something that needs to be very careful. And one of the ways to do that, for example, can be to use it sparingly, do a lot of collection of data sets, make forecasts to make sure that you only use that kind of engine when it's strictly required, and you rely as much as possible on historic data to make deployments, because more or less we know that there are seasonalities that can be expected for certain applications, for certain network slices, and so trying to rely as much as possible on already acquired information instead of creating a new one.
And what type of AI are you using?
I wouldn't know. I'm not involved in that specific part anymore.
But I mean, is it something developed by the
It's something developed by the
EU partners or something?
Yes, it's from NTUA, the Technical University of Athens.
Okay.
They are partners of the project, and that is specifically their contribution.
Very
Yes,
nice. Yeah.
they're working deeply on that. Yes.
Yeah, because then in the next StreamD project, there is indeed an increased use of AI combined with 6G, but for the specific verticals, so that's going to generate much more concern.
Yeah, it was part of the last call, and we submitted projects there.
So perhaps a 6 green 2, maybe that's
6 green 2.
Not too many calls specific on sustainability this year in this round. In fact, we had to reinvent ourselves in another stream that is not very comfortable for me, but we'll see.
What's the stream again of
this one is a stream A. It was a phase 1 project. Yes. Okay. So not a high TRL. We've got 3 use cases that arrived to TRL 4 or 5, if I remember correctly.
Mainly so from 5G advanced.
Yes. Now we can call it 5G advanced. When it was submitted, it was beyond 5G still, because it was 3 years ago that we wrote it. But for any intensive purposes, now I introduce it as a 5G advanced project. Yes.
Thank you very much again, Chiara. Here we go. Next project. This one is not SNS JU, Horizon and Marie Curie project.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
And thank you, Regis. And Qualys was presented in the first edition of the workshop itself. So thanks for inviting us again. Now, Qualys is a little bit different than any of the projects mentioned so far. It's a Marie Curie doctoral network staff exchange project, which will run for 48 months. That means 4 years. So we will be running till end of 2027. However, I represent Walton Institute. I'm head of division of one of the largest research division in the Walton Institute. Walton Institute is the largest ICT research institute in Ireland, and we are coordinating this project. Why we came up when Regis searched for 6G, because Walton Institute has been coordinating since 3G. We have been existing there for the past 25 years and running projects from 3GPP to 5GPP and now 6G. So that's why I think Qualys came up. Now, so what is Qualys, and what we are trying to do is, again, it's a doctoral network across 6 different countries, including Finland, Ireland, Portugal, Cyprus, Greece, Norway. This is a picture from our midterm review, which is always part of any Marie Curie project that happens after 15 months of the start of the project. So we did this midterm review in Waterford, where we are located in a very scenic place, thanks to the highly secure labs that we kind of host. So, but we are located at the top of the mountain, so it's very beautiful a place to work in also. Now, what we are trying to do is we don't call ICT networks as 5G or 6G. We haven't categorized that. What we are trying to do is to bring in synergy between the energy network as well as the ICT networks. Now, what do I mean by that? If you think deeply, then ICT networks need energy to run, while energy networks need data from the ICT network and control with the smart grids and microgrids and everything being incorporated within the energy grids. So the idea of this project was to develop a set of new matrices and joint optimization algorithms that can be deployed both on the energy grid as well as on ICT networks, whether it's 6G or 5G network, and then kind of bringing cross-optimization both from the energy side as well as from the data or communication side. So that was our objective. Now, okay, sorry. Since we started the project, we kind of got some results. Again, it is a very, very low TRL level project than the other projects that is presented in this workshop. Now, what we coined recently is a software-defined energy network. What do we mean by that? It's that we are still controlling the energy grid, but we are controlling from an ICT perspective. So for example, if you look at the concept diagram on the left-hand side of the slide, you are still controlling the grid where you have different energy producers, prosumers, it can be normal energy producer, or it can be also renewables that are part of the grid. While we are using the 5G communication architecture, or later moving on to 6G, to kind of control whatever functionality is being incorporated within the energy grid. Now, how we are doing that, we kind of created, perhaps you have seen this coming up more and more in the new 6G SNS calls, is the cloud edge continuum. So we are trying to actually incorporate the functionality of control from the communication side on the energy grid through this continuum. We've divided the functionalities between edge, fog, and cloud layer, and we deployed some AI models, specifically graph neural networks, GNNs, and to kind of distribute the task among different layers, whether it is cloud, fog, or edge, depending on the requirement, depending on how heavy the task is, or let's say what are the latency requirement, what are the throughput requirement of the particular task that we need to incorporate. And there are some, these are some of the results that we got. And we kind of found that the joint optimization algorithms that we proposed as including GNN or involving GNN actually gives us a very, very good result. And this paper will soon be published in IEEE Transactions on serial and parallel distributed computing. Okay, the second way we are trying to look at it is from a different kind of technique that has been proposed by some of the PhD students in University of Cyprus. It is called SWIFT, or simultaneous wireless transfer of power and information. So what we are trying to do basically, here we are trying to break down the entire time block into different slots. And some slots we will use to transfer power, some slots we will use to transfer information. Now this technique doesn't work in large networks, but if we are looking at smaller kind of, let's say, sensor network or vehicular network, then this kind of technique works very well. It's because it's kind of instantaneous, depending on the requirement of, let's say, a vehicle that is traveling or a sensor that needs to send out information, we can actually dissociate the time blocks into information transfer time blocks or energy transfer time blocks. So that's another approach that we are taking. And again, this paper has recently been published in IEEE Transactions on Communications. Okay, that's all from my side, like a very short pitch. And any questions, please?
Thank you very much.
Just two questions. That's the first time I hear about fog.
Mhm.
What the fog is?
The fog layer is basically the communication layer between edge and cloud. So in traditional centralized control, where let's say you divide a task into smaller subtasks, 1, 2, 3, they are executed in the edge. Finally, they are collated at the cloud, and then cloud sends out the decision. Now, this communication between the edge, collating the tasks and distributing the task between cloud and edge happens on the fog layer.
And transfer power, I mean, could you just give more details, please? What kind of power? I mean, are we talking about watt or milliwatt? And what kind of distance, what kind of frequency?
Yes,
If you have
as
more
I
details.
mentioned, for that part, we are just looking at sensor networks. So it's mostly battery level power required for sensors. It cannot be implemented, let's say, in the larger network that I have shown in the first slide. It's because, again, we have to approach this problem from two different perspectives. Wireless sensor networks or vehicular networks don't really need a lot of functionality or a lot of power to operate. It's just instantaneous based on requirement. While large networks, when you are trying to, let's say, control microgrids or smart grids, that's a completely different ballgame. And there, the power exchange and how renewables nowadays are coming into the grid along with the traditional carbon-based power sources that we have. Now, how to optimize there or how to control there, it's a completely different functionality. And there we cannot really use Swift. Swift is for sensor networks and small networks.
In your second use case, microgrid, so you refer to energy communities? Or
Yes,
that
exactly.
okay, so that's
Yeah.
And do you get support from the industry for this
Yes,
research?
yeah.
Do they validate?
Yeah. So, how doctoral networks operate is we have the universities as the beneficiaries who will be giving out the PhD degrees, but we also have an entire set of associated partners who are industries. That kind of offers training, secondments to the PhD students, and that's how we, and doctoral networks are very, very difficult to get funded until and unless you have associated partners, or industry partners. So for almost every use case, we have industrial partners. So for example, the Finnish use case where we are looking at local energy communities, we have partners like Enerim. Enerim is again an energy provider, not really an energy provider, like a, how should I say, a trading optimization company in Finland. And then we have Volume from Norway. They are also a big, again, energy customization, energy trade-off company. So they kind of provide us data and kind of support to do this kind of work.
Oh, sorry, yeah, maybe a naive question because I'm not so much familiar with the funding, but can we, since it's about a doctoral network and then you have secondments and all these things, can we integrate it somehow during the project, or I mean, not benefit from any kind of money because it's already decided, but can we like launch new collaborations with integrate new universities, RTOs?
Yes. So recently we added University of Bologna. So there is a process of amendment. So you can actually introduce new universities. The only problem is once the funding has already been distributed, it's very difficult to distribute funding to a new partner. So University of Bologna is actually participating as an associated partner. So they will not get the actual funding, but whenever a PhD student is traveling, so what arrangement we are making is like, for 6 months secondments for some of the PhD students to go there, and they will come with their own money from funding from the parent university.
Because I might have the case where in Luxembourg we have some local projects that are funding PhD students, and well, some topics are not that far from what you are doing. So
Yeah. No, there is always the possibility. It's just.
as long as we pay them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you say the industry, they give you data for the research,
Yes.
it's working smooth. I mean, because with Celestine, we have a project in Luxembourg,
Yeah.
which is very focused on your, like very similar to your use cases. In fact, one of the difficulty when
getting
discussing, you know,
I-
all about
I
GDPR and CDM.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that. And what we are trying to do is, so there are now for AI to operate, any AI algorithms to operate to a believable level or a good level, we need loads of data. And actually, even if we get all kinds of data from the industry, it is very difficult to achieve that level of excellence just with that.
Yeah.
It's because when we look at data, it's very, very repetitive. It's a very same. And training an AI model with a very similar or very same kind of data set is also very difficult. So what we are trying to do, there are two different ways we try to generate more data out of the real data. One is we use different kind of data augmentation techniques. So let's say we just get 100 data points. We can make it to 1 million data points using data augmentation. Also, there is another way that we are approaching more and more is to resort to computational modeling. So like agent-based modeling, and there are other different ways of doing computational modeling. So we are trying to capture the actual physical phenomenon using sets of equations and kind of produce realistic kind of data to augment that. These are the ways. Yeah.
Very nice. Thanks very much again.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And let's go to the mobility sector.
Yes.
Bartolomeo is going to present into camera. This project was there with us also last year.
Thank you, Regis. Good morning. I'm Bartolomeo Silvestri from Polytechnic University of Bari. This project is a little bit different from the other because it's for mobility sector. The focus is on integrate and interoperate of a new service for the developing of a CCAM system. The project started from the European objective strategies in 2019 that want to become the first continent in the world that want to become climate neutral by 2050. Based on this, the strategic horizon Europe of the 3 years from 2021 and 2024 and 2025 and 2027 are based on accelerating green and digital transition and to address a key challenge on climate change, loss of biodiversity, digital transition, and aging population that are the new challenge of Europe. So based on this, in the mobility sector, the key factor at the moment are the digitalization, especially focusing on autonomous vehicle and automated mobility. This automated mobility is developing in the CCAM, Connected, Cooperative, and Automated Mobility System. This system needs to achieve two main objectives. The first one is the safety. So increase safety in the use of transport mobility of freight and also mobility of people. And the other one is reduce the impact of environment. Our project is a Horizon project started at the end of 2022. So we are in the last years. So is the last the last month of the project, involves 21 partners in 10 countries and is based on use cases in 4 cities. These 4 cities are Vigo, Tampere in Finland, Turin in Italy, and Trikala in Greece. And in addition to this, I have also 2 other use cases, but are simulation use cases. One in Italy in Bari, and the other one is in Portugal for Quadrilatero, a joint of 4 municipalities in Portugal. The strategic objective of our project is to develop, implement, and demonstrate innovative service for connected and automated vehicle infrastructure and users, accelerate implementation of innovative CCAM technologies, and provide benefits to all citizens, so to societal level and to user level. The impact for society are based on, as we say, safety, reduce the number of accidents and incidents caused by human error, environment, reducing emission and congestion that reduce the time and reduce also the benefit for society, and the inclusiveness, because we consider in our project also some use case where are the availability to provide this service to disabled people. So we want to demonstrate that this service are useful also for all categories of society people. This is developed on 3 levels, or infrastructure level. So we want to integrate this service at 3 main levels that are physical, digital, and operational infrastructure. First, I want to present what are the targets of our project in the sustainability, because it is the focus on this conference. We have a different target in our project. The targets that are focused especially on sustainability are these main targets. So intermodal interface and interoperability between the traffic management system with a specific KPI that we insert in our project. We want to provide some solutions, some innovative service that give a traffic reduce of plus of 20%, advanced simulation models and tool in new traffic management strategies. So we have a KPI specific for traffic index as drug output and waiting time and emission and traffic reduction. Optimize mobility network load balancing approach that have studied some KPI on the maximum number of vehicles in an area and the number of vehicles that are in the queue for a traffic light, intelligent traffic light, and in a series of traffic light intersection, and effective cooperation and governance model for operating CCM service that we have as a KPI, the achievement of agreement among the living lab. I described these 3 levels that I mentioned before. So physical infrastructure that each living lab developing is based on dynamic dedicated line, intelligent traffic light, and intelligent road sign. Digital infrastructure starting from the existing management system infrastructure, integrate new service, such as traffic balancing by proposing alternative to less congested road, freight transport and logistic service, and vulnerable road user enabled service. And operational infrastructure that are based on 2 main topics. The first one is the governance models, and the second one is the business model to develop this new service in the CCM system. These are the 4 use case or the 4 living lab that develop different use cases. So these are the lead living lab that are developing this service in the real demonstration. This demonstration, in some cases, have some limitation, but because there are different rules across all Europe in the use of this kind of vehicle in public road. So there are different issues from different countries in Europe. This is the big issue at the moment, but we receive a lot of data, a lot of information about our demonstration that are useful in our deliverable that are almost public deliverable. This is the other two living lab that are based on the simulation. These are not the only simulation that are performed in our project, because also in the living lab we use some use cases that are not possible to develop it in a real demonstration, and so we use real data to provide some simulation, or in a case such as the case of Turing, we use simulation to improve the performance of the rerouting, the real-time rerouting of the vehicle. So this is the demonstration with the use of different software. And I complete the presentation of the project, and I want to share what are the main challenge that emerged after our project in the topic of sustainability. The first one is related to the study of energy consumption based on different conditions, because we studied that in different living lab we have a different vehicle, but also different data about the energy consumption that is related to different aspects. For instance, the number of users in the vehicle affect this data. The weather condition affect a lot this kind of data. Traffic condition, road slope. Another thing is for the use of disabled or vulnerable users. When vulnerable users use this kind of vehicle, we provide different routing planning, because they need to reduce the turn of the vehicle. So for this reason, we have also a different energy consumption in the vehicle. And the other topic is to study the traffic and emission reduction affected by CCM, system penetration rate. So based on the different penetration rate, we have some study about this in simulation, that the consumption and the traffic and the emission differs in a very different way. But in our study, we emerged that starting from 30-40% of this penetration rate, the efficiency of traffic condition and also to the reduction of emission increase a lot. So this is a good point of starting point of the study for future development, especially for the new large-scale demonstration. I complete my presentation. Thank you, everyone. If you have any question about this project or the topic.
Just a curiosity, really. You mentioned different issues in different cities related to mobility.
Yes.
Can you give us a couple of examples? I'm really just curious.
I discussed about this yesterday with someone. In Europe, we don't have a common legislation at the moment. So each nation have different rule. So for instance, in Tampere, we didn't have any problem to ask the permission to use this kind of vehicle in the public road. For instance, in Spain, emerged a new rule after the presentation of the project. So we changed the demonstration, because it's mandatory to use people inside the vehicle, safety people inside the vehicle. This is mandatory. So inside the vehicle, there are some people in front of the vehicle. It's mandatory also to use the vehicle not in a open public road. So we need to change. We use a public road, but a limited area. So we use a sign. We use also the policemen in that area during the demonstration. So we need to also reduce the period because it's for 2 months. We reduce to 2 weeks, but increase the number of hours and the number of trip in order to achieve the similar data that we planned. In Italy, the bureaucracy is the problem because if you ask the permission, it's possible to use this kind of vehicle in public road, but you need to start the procedure 6-8 months before, because normally the rules say 3 months maximum, are not 3 months maximum. Is Greece and Finland, as I mentioned, we don't have any problem. We know also French and Germany what happened. French have a national level permission, but it's possible to use this kind of vehicle. Germany differs from the area. Some area are regional permission, other area are city permission. So have
It's a federal republic.
yes,
so each land
exactly.
has their.
For this reason, China and US starting before this technology and this test. But they, at the moment, they are the leader, and also Japan, I can add, are the leader in this technology, especially for demonstration. And in some cases, especially in the US and China, there are commercial autonomous vehicles that are used. I know that it's very important, 6G for you is this kind of vehicle. This is the connection of our project. So
Maybe it was there, but I missed it. I assume that they are all EVs, all cars.
In other projects, use also this kind of vehicle. In our project, we are focused especially for mobility of people. And for mobility, for frame mobility, we use especially simulation. We have some use cases in Bari for last mile logistics because we are focusing especially for the mobility in the city. So framed vehicle are especially autonomous robot vehicle, not like this. In some case, we have a use case, I don't remember if in Tampere or in Tricala, that there is a mixed use of the vehicle for purpose. But normally, this kind of vehicle are not EV vehicle, are light vehicle and very small vehicle. But for instance, this small vehicle can be used by 14 people. So yes, it's especially for urban area. The idea, sorry, the idea in Tampere is to use this for the last mile leg, because they use normal tram, normal urban transportation system, and only the last leg of the trip is performed by this kind of vehicle.
Very, very, very quickly, after the project, do you have a plan already, like with the stakeholders, to run this beyond the framework of the project? Or will it stop the living labs? I mean, will it stop after the project, or will it?
Yes, at the moment, yes, is stop after the project, but these cities are involved also in other projects.
Okay.
So they continue, for instance, Turin use other fund. We know that use other fund to continue the test of this vehicle in another project. I think also Tampere have the same, but Turin is a national level project that receive fund. Tampere is involved in another European project, large-scale demonstration project that are the new project on this kind of topic.
Nice. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Really nice to see the nice progress compared to last year in this project. So last but not least.
Yeah, and we are late, I guess. So the workshop is supposed to end now. So
Indeed,
I hope it will not be an issue with the next
But that's all right, because now it's the break, so we can.
Yeah, the flag is important as well. You know.
Indeed,
So we try to make it super efficient so that you can all benefit from the break. 6G twin, so that's why I like also this kind of workshop, on sustainability, because it's so large that you switch from mobility, society, 6G, whatever, so that's fantastic. And so on our side, 6G twin, so it's also an SNS JU project, and when it comes to SNS JU, you have these fantastic figures that have been produced by, well, I guess, other CSAs. So I need to be careful with the numbers because probably you know them better than me. But yeah, I quite like it because all the projects have been, did this exercise, like trying to classify a bit the different technologies that are linked to their activities. So here I think we see more or less, well, maybe not 80 projects, probably a bit less. But if you have a look at network digital twin, specifically, this represents 30% of of all the projects. So this is quite present. But then if you have a look in details, you will see that, well, it does not really mean network digital twin. I mean, it's quite heterogeneous. So some projects are using simulation-based approaches, some other solutions are using, some other projects are using other solutions or technologies. What I mean is that it's quite heterogeneous, right? There is no single framework for applying network digital twin in this kind of projects. And well, I guess this is the role we have in 6G twin to try to come with a single approach. So that's really the objective we have. The project started at the beginning of last year. We are just in the middle. The midterm review was last week. Well, hopefully it will be successful and you will see soon all the deliverables published. But that's really the objective of the project, to try to standardize, let's say, this network digital twin approach. So basically using it as a way to, as a kind of sandbox, to test different concepts before applying them into the reality. So of course, when it comes to energy efficiency, when it comes to, well, AI and so on, it's quite related to that. And the only issue is that, well, we need a common approach for applying these NDT systems into the reality. So the consortium is made of, well, 11 partners. We have 3 partners in the room, one which represents maybe 1/3 of the workshop. So thank you for being here. Poliba and R2M, of course, and myself, I'm from LIST. And yeah, that's it for the project integration. That's quite important for us. Maybe it will not be super useful for you, but that's the main recommendation we are using from ITUT, sorry. That's well, a recommendation that tries again to come with a kind of concept architecture for defining this entity. So this is what we are using in the project. So basically, we mainly explored that during the first period of the project. We came with quite theoretical deliverables, with a functional architecture and with some models. But now we are starting the second phase of the project, and this is where it will become concrete, because we target to develop 2 demonstrators, one on teleoperated driving, the second on energy efficiency. And that one will be quite interesting, probably in the context of sustainability, because as well, some of you have cited, I mean, maybe we will take more energy to build a digital twin than so that's always a matter of compromise. And this is typically the kind of KPIs we need to evaluate during the project, to see the balance between the technology that we are providing and then the solution that it delivers. So the plan for that is to have everything ready for UCNC 2026 next year. And if I'm now concentrating on energy saving, so the second use case, again, I will not repeat what has been said already, but we know that most of the energy today is spent by the RAN part, so the radio access part. I think 80% of the total energy at the moment is spent well on this side of the network, let's say. Probably it will decrease with the computing needs from AI and all these new solutions. But yeah, the idea is really to try to basically use this replica of the network in real time, so that we can optimize the usage of the energy of the network. And again, I will not go into the details because we are already a bit exceeding the time, but just so that you know something to follow, let's say. Some recent outcomes. So we have some data sets that have been published, getting quite nice data sets. I mean, it's a challenge in this project. So, and in all the projects, as far as I heard, so we are clearly looking for collaborations. This one is a low TRL project. We are generating data in lab. We also have a mobile network operator, so clearly we will benefit from that. But yeah, I mean, any kind of exchanges there could be quite appreciated between different business projects or whatever. but already we have some things that have been published. As I was saying, some public deliverables will be released soon, in 1 or 2 months probably. If we are lucky, if we receive this nice letter from the European Commission with all the good comments, and there I think there are quite a lot of deliverables that could be related to sustainability. So for instance, we have this one, which has been led by the way by Codiba. So this is the evaluation plan of the project where we detail all the KPIs, the KVIs we are targeting, and you will see that a lot of them are focused on energy efficiency, on sustainability as a whole, and this is something we should target more and more. So yeah, again, it's a light speed presentation, but I guess that's the exercise today. So well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Well done.
30 seconds
You're
to
fast,
the workshop.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, I don't want to, I still want to benefit from the project.
Any question?
Yeah, I have a question. So the data sets that you are generating, are you contributing to the ESOC, the European Open Source Cloud?
Not yet.
Not
This
yet.
will come, yeah. So this is what is it, a repository?
Yeah, this is from the European Commission itself, and it's a project too. So, yeah, you can contribute to ESOC, all the open data sets if you are
Okay.
publishing open
Yes, we
data.
should have a look then, yeah. I mean, at the moment it's published on Zenodo, but that's what you
EU
said.
Commission.
Yeah, I mean, there is also
It's-
some
it's-
platform
it's-
that
it's-
design,
It
but
first,
I'm not sure
it was first launched as a project. Now they have created like an entire repository, and we are all contributing the data sets that are open and publishable.
Okay.
Yeah.
might be useful. But it's not specific to SNS, it's way larger.
Yeah, no, anybody, any European project.
I
can-
would say it's not being promoted much within
Yeah.
SNS. You can confirm because I've
I
never.
mean, I was not aware, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Because that's really.
We're all on Zenodo, I guess.
Just a question about, a technical question about energy saving on the millimeter wave. What, at I think 26 gigahertz, what exactly what kind of technique do you apply?
That's a good question because I'm not responsible for this part of the project. Now, I think we have different scenarios. The first one, I mean, I don't have the details in mind, honestly, because this is currently being elaborated, but I guess the idea is just to select the most appropriate source or to deactivate some GNOTBs or antennas when I mean, you don't have to use them. But well, I don't have the details, honestly. I think.
So it's kind of sleeping mode.
Yeah, sleeping mode, but a bit more, I mean, a bit smarter, let's say, not having a time plan as this is usually done, but having something a bit more dynamic, I guess. I also assume you can reduce the input power without totally disabling the antenna. So yeah, that's one of the strategies we are using. We are also trying to play a bit with reflective intelligent surfaces, to propagate the signal a bit better. But yeah, again, that's not. I'm not too much involved in this use case. That's more on the second one. So,
Again, Sebastian, and well, I've not been very good at timekeeping for this new edition of the workshop, but I really appreciate your presentations. It was really nice to see the progress, to see the results, and we had time for some interaction. So I think it was interesting. And this workshop has grown compared to last year with new projects, so really nice. In terms of cooperation for the next steps, I discussed with Sana, who said, perhaps, yeah, are we going to make a new paper? Perhaps, so let's perhaps restart the discussion, if you like, because you saw this Open Research Europe platform. They invite revisions, in fact, of the paper. So perhaps we can publish a version 2.
So the paper last year, I mean,
Yeah.
the review process was quite long.
It was a year,
Like
year long, indeed. So I'll investigate, then I will get in touch, and you tell me if you are interested to do that. And then, Sebastian, you mentioned EU CNC 26. In this room with your consortium of 30, I don't remember, partners, you have the organizers, right?
Malaga, University of Malaga.
Yeah. And I know that, well, for the 25 edition, we had this joint booth on sustainability, so perhaps that's something we could replicate, I guess, yeah. So last year was led by
joint demos, you were there. I remember.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was me, you, it was Big Green,
Yeah.
Exigence, and there was another one that I don't remember.
uh-huh.
It's always a nice, I mean, the European Commission is very much appreciating that.
So perhaps on that as well, we could perhaps take the lead or at least launch something. I saw the call is we still have a bit of time to apply.
Yeah, we've got a lot of time. I think we started organizing for this year around January or something
Alright.
like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have time, but definitely
Okay,
that's worth the investment, in my opinion.
super. Let's do that. And
Something I would love to do as well, because we discussed that last year, but we never really had time. In the end, we were all involved in those proposals. But given the fact that we have very different expertise there on the table, I mean, maybe we could join forces for the next wave of SNS JU calls, I mean, if it makes sense. We all bring different activities. I mean, this was seen today. But I don't know, at the moment there is no work program. I think there is just a draft orientation.
Submissions finished just last month.
I think there will be no funding for Stream D projects
Okay.
in the next call, but then after that, which
Oh,
will be the last.
the next one won't have.
That's what I remember I read from some SNS.
Okay.
But then after that, again, there will be more funding in 27.
Because this year there was one call, let's say.
It was a bit isolated.
Yes, and they claimed that they had a funding that was going to be divided into one project funded per use case, so to say. We made a proposal there.
Yeah.
So there probably will be 4 or 5 funded this year.
Yeah,
So
smaller ones, but for certain.
yes,
projects.
yes.
I think we'll have to leave the room for the next workshop. I just would like to invite you, if you want, let's have a group picture.
Yes.
Maybe next to the where you got your badge. You know, there is this big roll-up, so let's try to do. I'll ask my colleagues. Yeah. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.